Okay, in this video, we will go through some of the problems in this inventory other calculations chapter of intermediate accounting. So we have inventory, these 5 different products. They give us the cost and the selling price. And our goal is to figure out what is our lower between cost and net realizable value. So we want to calculate the net realizable value for all of these products that they give us. Whoops. And then our net realizable value is our selling price less the costs to actually sell it. So if we look down there, but they give us the selling price in the table. If we look down below, the cost to sell is a sales commission of 10% of the selling price, and then shipping costs are 5% of the selling price. So what I'm going to do is if I have 100% of my selling price and I subtract 15% total, whoops, that's going to leave me 85%, right? So I'm going to do that math ahead of time. So again, the 100% minus the 10% minus the 5%. That'll just save me having to work it out and like by cost and then subtract it. So if I come up here, I'm going to go ahead and put my cost in this first column. And then my net realizable value is going to be my selling price of 60 times the 0.85. Then the next one is 100 times 0.85. Then 80 times 0.85. 130 times, whoops, and then 30 times 0.85. Whoops. So then we'll compare them. So again, lower of cost or market, this is our cost. So then in this case, I'm going to pick the 40. In B, I'm going to take the 80. In C, I'm going to take the 40. And then in D, I'm going to take the 100. Now, oh, sorry, this was 20. So all of them is actually cost. So none of those did the net realizable value fall below the cost. So then we're going to just value those all at cost. Okay, so then if I sum that, we would just leave it at 280. So then we would not even need any type of adjusting entry. Then we go to our next one, which is lower of cost or market. So the thing with the market is, and again, it's going to be the same thing that we have the low point and the high point. So again, we are going to compare cost to our replacement cost, but then there's a range. There's a low and a high range. So let's go ahead and okay. So then the so our floor is our net realizable value minus the profit margin, and the ceiling is the net realizable value. So maybe we'll do that to say, I probably should put in a title for these though, so we can see what it is. Okay, so here, this was our cost. Then we've got our replacement cost. And then we'll have our like floor and then our ceiling. So the floor is the net realizable value minus the normal profit. So as we read down there, our selling costs consist of sales commission equal to 10% of the selling price, shipping 5%, and then normal profit is 30%. So if I come down here and I add those together, we've got 10%, 5%, and then for the floor, we've got the 30%. So that's going to be 45%. So then if I take my selling price of 60 times 0.45, and then if I take 100, times 0.45, and then 80 times 0.45, and then 130 times 0.45, and then 30 times 0.45. So that's the lowest I can go. Then the ceiling is going to be the net realizable value. So then that is the 10% plus the 5%. So 15%. So then again, we go back to the selling price, 60 times 0.85. Oh, did I do that right? Sorry, I did not do that right. So that's what it's less. So then 100% minus the 45%. I used the wrong percentage in there. So then it's going to be times the 0.65. Multiplied by the wrong side of that percentage. So 45% is the deduction, which means we would keep the, oh, darn it. I'm sorry. I did that one wrong too, because 45 from 100% is 55%. I'll just go in there real quick though and do it this way. So times 0.55. So replace those all for my percentage mistakes. So then that leaves us 55%. And then this one would be 100% minus the 15% leaves us 85%. So then that's what we're using. So then the 60 times the 0.85, 100 times 0.85, $80 times 0.85, 30 times 0.85, and then 30 times 0.85. Okay, so that is our highest. So then as we look over and then we pick our lower of those cost or market, and again, paying attention to our floor and our ceiling, our cost is going to be, in this case, it's going to be the market. So our cost is above that replacement cost, and then the replacement cost is above the floor. So then 35 is what we're going to use. Then same thing here, our replacement cost is below our cost, but it is in between the floor and the ceiling, so we're good. And then now in this case, our replacement cost is 55. And then the lowest we're going to go there is 44, but then our cost is still lower. So then we would go with our cost. Then our replacement cost is lower. It is lower than the floor. So then we're going to go with the floor. And then the 20, yeah. Now, so our replacement cost is in the middle there, but our cost is still lower, so we would go with the cost. So then we would sum those up, and then that would be the value of our inventory. Okay. Then we have the gross profit method. So our gross profit method, we use more for estimates than, because we just don't want to go out there and actually take a physical inventory. So we have a fire destroyed the warehouse, and we're trying to estimate what our inventory was that was destroyed in that fire. So we had a beginning balance of 1,900,000. Then we have purchases. Then we have freight in. So that leaves us what is available. Whoops, I don't want to sum it. Then we sold 8,200, but we have a gross profit margin of 20%. So then a 20% markup, if you will. So then we would have to take our what was available and multiply it by that 20%, and then add that profit to it. So then really when we factor in the profit, we had 9,720 available to us, and we sold 8,200. So then our ending inventory, or our inventory that would have been destroyed, our estimate would be the $1,520,000. Okay, then our last one is our retail inventory method. And we've got average cost and then our conventional. So what we do with those are average cost. We take our same thing, kind of what we did there. We map out our beginning balance, add our purchases, but now we have to add markups and then less markdowns. And then that will give us what is available. And then we'll calculate a cost over retail. It'll give us a percentage. And then we'll use that to help us calculate out our ending balance and then our cost of goods sold. But then we should have our cost and our retail, and we do. So we'll put the columns in for that. So cost, maybe I'm going to. So again, we fill in those beginning balances. Let me make these with a comma. Okay. And then our retail is 180,000. And then our purchases and I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to net those. This one has a little extra stuff in there. I'm going to just net them into that purchases total, because that's actually where they would end up getting included. So let me do that. Purchases plus our freight. And the freight is 9,000. Purchase returns would reduce it by 7,000. And then the abnormal spoilage would also reduce it. So that would be our purchases. And then we'll do the same thing over here. So they have No, I guess that would be it, right? Is there purchases returns on that? Yeah, okay, they would have purchases returns at the sales value. And they don't have the freight included in there. And then normal spoilage and abnormal spoilage, I guess, down below. Then our markup is 16,000, and that would just be on the retail side. And then our markdown is 12,000, again, on the retail side. So then if we add those up, it would give us what is available. Oops. Over. Okay. Then we come down here and we do the math of that. So 522,200 divided by the 742,000, and that'll give us a percentage. I might actually put it down below here. So that divided by that gives us 0.569. And then that is going to be the percent that we use to value our inventory when we get down a little further here. So then this is what was available. We sold but I'm going to net these as well. So 540,000 minus 10,000 of returns. That's way too much. So 540,000 minus the 10,000 of returns gives us 530,000 in sales. So then if we take our what was available less our sales, this is our ending inventory at retail. But we want it at cost. So we want to come back over to the cost side. So then we're going to take that ending inventory at retail and then multiply it by the percentage. So then that takes it down to cost. So this would be our ending inventory. And then if it wants our cost of goods sold, what was available minus what's left in our ending inventory is going to be our cost of goods sold. So that is the average cost. The conventional, we don't use the markdowns. So let me see if I can just delete that and then change this total here. It'll just change our percentage. So then our percentage goes down a little bit, which then changes that and then changes that. So that's really the only difference between that average cost and the conventional.